Hello everyone and welcome to an ESO build video. So today we're going to be covering my Magicka Dragonknight PvP build titled the Pit Demon. And we're going to be going over a couple changes that have happened since the last time I posted on this particular build. Mainly being that Dragonknight sustain has gotten a little worse since last time around. And not really because of the reasons you think. They didn't get any actual sustain nerfs, but they got some damage nerfs, which ironically enough, and I don't understand, for some reason the class still does decent damage, but it affected their sustain really bad. I don't understand exactly why, but you know, here we are. I'll go over the nerf when I explain it too, but primarily being with the nerf to Dragonknight's raw damage between their dots and their Molten Whip, which their Molten Whip, if you guys did not know, used to be affected by, where is it, this passive here, which as you can see is a massive damage spike to your Dragonknight abilities. And for some reason Molten Whip and Flame Lash were affected by this passive, and they took that away recently, not in this patch but in a patch prior to this. I don't think I posted the video last patch on this class. And when they did that, that lowered your burst, it lowered our healing due to the dot nerfs, and overall just the class took a big healing and damage nerf. And to compensate, that means you have to use sustain. Your sustain is hampered a whole hell of a lot more to make up for it, because you got to cast spells more often, you got to do a lot more. So with that, we are no longer running 2 damage sets, but I'm going to leave that out and we're just going to keep moving into it. And to start things off, we're going to go over the stats as per usual. 35k max Magicka, 25k health, and almost 20k stamina. I would say this is a pretty good stat layout for Dragonknight. As you can see, compared to last time I did a build for Dragonknight, the mag recovery is much, much higher. Now, I'm going to give a little disclaimer that this mag recovery is for non-CP. I have mostly been playing my Dragonknight in Battlegrounds over the weekend, and I haven't tested it much in Cyrodiil. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. I tested it in duels, but not in Cyrodiil. And this is what worked best for me. Besides that, as you can see, we are still squishy. We're a light armor build, what you expect. We are a stage 4 vampire. This is down to 100% personal preference. You do not have to be a vampire if you don't want to be. I'm a big fan of vampirism. I like it on any build I can get it on, I will use it on. This is just personal preference. I like the extra recovery. I like the undeath passive. And let's be honest, this character looks like a badass, which is why I like the vampirism look for this character. The Mundus Stone we are running is the Atronach. Now, note that I am a Dark Elf when running this. If you're a Breton, you can replace this with the Apprentice as a Breton. But that is the only difference between a High Elf, Dark Elf, and Breton, is that if you're a Breton, you run Apprentice. If you're one of the 2 elves, you run Atronach. That's the only thing you have to change between that race group. If you're running a race that's not one of those high damage races, then you might have to make some other adjustments, but we'll get into that. And our food buff is the Bewitched Sugar Skulls, which, if you guys don't know, this is basically just the buffed up version of Longfin Pasty with melon sauce. It's a tri-stat food, health, stamina, and magicka, along with a little bit of health recovery. Because we're a vampire, the health recovery goes largely unnoticed, but the stats are still higher than tri-stat food, which is why I run it. If you can't afford it, which it's not very expensive, but if you can't, just go ahead and run Longfin Pasty, and you're going to get pretty close results. All right, let's move into the skills. And I think there's a obvious glaring thing on the bar layout here that some people might have already noticed. We don't run Burning Embers anymore. To start things off, we are running Cauterize. We're running this for Major Prophecy. We're running this as a way to buff Molten Whip. And we're running this as a spammable burst heal, which is super cheap, by the way. One of the weaknesses that commonly comes up with Dragonknight is their expensive healing. And this is it's not the greatest heal in the world. You know, it's not the strongest heal in the world, but it's cheap, which means it's hella spammable. And it's something you're going to be able to use frequently. That's why I like it. It's worked out really good for me so far. Keep this up at all times, whenever you can. But when in a pinch, if you need to get to your back bar, like if you're getting pressured, pop this, swap. You're going to get the heal, you're going to get onto your back bar, and you can activate your bigger heals. It helps out quite a bit. I'm always a fan of having a big heal on the front bar. Next up is Ellie Drain. This is literally a necessity for Magicka Dragonknight. I'm amazed at the couple people I see who don't run this. But it reduces the target's resistances by over 5,000. And more importantly, it gives you minor Magicka Steel, which is the equivalent of 600 Magicka Recovery. Keep this up on your target at all times. If you're fighting a Warden or a Templar, spam this. It's free. Keep it up on them. They're going to keep purging it off, so get it on them again. And literally, you'll burn yourself out if you don't keep this up. Next up on here is Engulfing Flames. And Engulfing Flames has two functions. One, it kind of works as an AoE spammable. I wouldn't really stress it too much. Just prime this whenever you can. Basically, what you want to do with this is put it on a target right before you're ready to go into burst at the minimum. I like to keep this up as often as I can, though. And the reason for that is once you're all buffed up, this will give them put a debuff upon your enemy where they'll take 10% more damage from fire, which is your Molten Whip. It is your Engulfing Flames again. It is your light attacks, which do a shit ton of damage, by the way. It's your ultimate. Overall, you're going to want to keep this up on your target, so spam this at will. Our actual spammable is Molten Whip, which, if you guys don't know what this does, it is you build stacks by casting one of these two abilities, either Cauterize or Engulfing, and at 3 stacks, your eyes are going to be glowing like this for one, you're going to get some extra weapon and spell damage equal to 75 per stack, and more importantly, as you can see, the damage of your next Molten Whip proc deals 33% more damage for each stack. This does a shit ton of damage. This is basically your equivalent of Grim Focus. It's very, very good. Your main burst tool. And what you're going to commonly see happen is you're either going to pop everything up on someone. I usually use this as a spammable to proc this. You're either going to fossilize them Molten Whip, leap Molten Whip, or fossilize leap Molten Whip, depending on how you want to do it. But that's your main kill combo. It's actually not any harder than that. That's the one nice thing about Mag DK. Their burst, very simple. It's just hard to sustain and heal on them. Next up is Fossilize. I do intend to change this to Shattering Rock. I honestly just forgot before I made this video. Either morph is fine. This was what I was testing the BGs in, and it works really well. The only reason I think I might prefer Shattering Rock right now is because since I'm not using Flame Lash, I really don't need the Immobilize. And they cost the same. They do the stun, but Shattering Rock gives you a burst heal if the target hits you. So, pick whatever morph you want. You can either get an Immobilize or you get a heal. Dealer's choice. And as for our ultimate, literally, if you're running Mag DK and you're not running this ultimate, shame on you. It's a really good ultimate. Gives you a big damage shield, good burst damage, stuns the enemy. It's a gap closer. And, I mean, to top it all off, it just looks badass. I mean, you literally just go flying at them. It's awesome. It is awesome. If you were to replace this, I guess Meteor would be my replacement for it. I'm not recommending you replace this, but Meteor was a fun ultimate to use in duels, so that would be my only option to replace this. For the back bar, we are running Volatile Armor. I prefer this more on Mag DK because the dot is actually not bad. And secondly, this is how you knock Nightblades out of stealth. You just spam the crap out of this. Race Against Time. Now, you can run Race Against Time or Mist Form. I was having better results with this. Because you can also sprint, which is faster than Mist Form. This is faster than what Mist Form can do. On top of that, your healing stays up, which a lot of your healing is over time. So you're going to want to be able to keep healing. Your mag recovery still works while this is up compared to Mist Form. And you can roll dodge with this up. Again, all these things, with our massive stamina pool, I just ended up preferring Race Against Time. But if you do not have this, I would substitute out Mist Form for it. Coagulating Blood. Now, this is our burst heal. This is our pathetic version of Honor the Dead. And yeah, don't spam this. Don't spam this. Do your best not to have to cast this. But it's a big heal when you're low. It's worth it. If you're going to your back bar and you're low, pop this and then pop Rapid Regen immediately. You might have to cast this again if you're that low, but yeah, it costs 3.5k max Magicka, so try not to spam this if you don't have to, but it's literally your only option for a burst heal in this class. Rapid Regeneration. Just run this, trust me. This is probably the most powerful heal in the game right now. 20k over 5 seconds, and that's unbuffed. This is a ridiculously OP heal right now. I would highly recommend running it. on any Magicka class, not just Dragonite. Last up is Molten Armaments, and what we are doing with this is you get your Major Brutality and Major Sorcery for 36 seconds, really long duration, and increases your heavy attack damage. That's not too big of a deal. Now, you can run this, or you can run Degeneration. The reason I ended up choosing this ability over Degen is, A, this can be purged and the dot is kind of worthless. On top of that, I mean, the sorcery can't be purged, but the dot can be purged. On top of that, I had an easier time keeping track of this thing's duration. It's a longer buff, which means you don't have to worry about it as often. And if you're really in a pinch, you need to be able to roll dodge out of something, this generates stamina, which I can't really demonstrate with the, hold on. Let's drop some stamina down. As you can see, spamming this does regen about 1,000 stamina a pop. So it is actually kind of nice because you can just spam it, you get some stamina back. It really helps out. I mean, on top of that, we are using tri-stat potions and our ultimates regen all of our stats thanks to Battle Roar. So stamina sustain on this build is phenomenal. And for the back bar ultimate, you have, in my opinion, 3 options. You can either A, go for Ice Comet if you would like an extra offensive option, so you can choose between Leap or Ice Comet. You can run what I'm running here, which is Devouring Swarm, the Bat ultimate. Sorry, 4 options actually. If you don't want to run Devouring Swarm, you can also run Life Giver. It's another fantastic defensive ultimate. And if you don't want to run this and you don't intend to ever use your back bar ultimate, you also can run Temporal Guard, which I don't have morphed on this particular character. But Temporal Guard is 8% damage mitigation while on your back bar, for those of you who do not know. It's a really good ultimate to passively use. I don't recommend ever casting this ultimate. It bugs out half the time. At the moment, I'm using the Vampire ulti because I'm a vampire and I really like the ultimate. It's actually kind of fun to use. But if I didn't have this, I personally would use the Restoration ultimate. It's just really, really good healing for really cheap. All right, so next up, we are going into the gear. And as any good Dragonite knows, Blood Spawn is key here. By the way, we are a light armor build, 2 heavy, 5 light. All impenetrable, by the way. Prismatic glyphs on the big pieces, Magicka glyphs on the small pieces. And we are running 2-piece Blood Spawn, 5-piece Seducer, and this is one of the downsides of being Dragonite right now. You need a sustain set, in my opinion. You need a sustain set. At least I do. I found that this worked so much better than trying to put Clever Alchemist on here. This just helped out a lot. It gets my recovery up to a decent, manageable number. Lets me keep a big max stamina pool. Thanks to being able to run Tri-Stat Food. You could run a damage set and run Witch Mother's Potent Brew instead. You'd have less max stamina and less health. Dog. Hey, buddy, I'm recording a video. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. So, you could run, like I said, you could run an offense set and Witch Mother's Potent Brew. I found I was liking Seducer more, though. And for our front bar, we have not changed this. We are still running a Burning Spellweave Inferno Staff on the Destruction Staff and the Jewelry. As you can see, the Jewelry is all arcane spell damage. The Staff is Nirnhone Flame damage. And on the back bar, we are running ourselves a Restoration Staff of the Potentates. 5% damage mitigation from players. It's infused with a weapon spell damage glyph. And yeah, this has been a fun one. Another weapon, which I do not have on this character at the moment, but I will show you real quick, is the Maelstrom Restoration Staff, if I can find it in this mess. There it is. So that is your other option, in my opinion. Gives you a good little bit of extra mag recovery. It's another good Restoration Staff to have. If you do not have a Potentate's Restoration Staff, you don't have a Maelstrom one, and you don't want either one of them, Willpower will work fine. Willpower will work just fine if you don't want any of those. Alright, so that is it for the gear. Next up, we're going to cover the CP section, because that's always fun. I'm bad at CP, so take this with a grain of salt. But we have 61 Ironclad, 46 Resistant, 44 Thick-Skinned. Probably should lower this now that I'm thinking about it. But that's what I run right now. It's been working okay. As I said, you might want to lower that. 12 Light Armor Focus for some reason. 43 Hardy, 37 Elemental Defender, and 27 Quick Recovery for the red. Green is 56 Warlord, 11 Sprinter, 75 Arcanist, 27 Tenacity. Sorry, my throat's starting to give out a little bit for some reason. 81 Tumbling, and 20 Shadow Ward. Blue, we have 66 Elfborn, 50 Spell Erosion, 64 Elemental Expert, 81 Master at Arms, and 9 Staff Expert. I don't believe we have anything over here. Nope. So yeah, overall, a pretty burst heavy. As you can see, we really don't care about dot damage. And for some final notes, that comes back to, as I said, I gave up a lot of the DK class, and this pains me. This pains me. Burning Embers is awesome. I don't run it. It used to be awesome, I should say. I just don't run it. It's not worth it. Like, this and Flame Lash were what I used to run. Now I run Molten Whip because Flame Lash hits like a wet noodle. So yeah, this in my personal opinion, Burning Embers isn't bad, but it's replaceable by Cauterize. So I honestly don't see a reason to run this ability anymore, and it really pains me to say that. And Molten Whip is literally necessary. I'm sure there's some people out there who've gotten some good Flame Lash builds. I can't personally run them. I just cannot make Flame Lash work, which really makes me sad because Flame Lash I like so much more than Molten. But it just doesn't work right now. Does not work. So, with that, guys, I think we're just going to cover the racial section and then we will get out of here. So, for racial choice, as I said before, we are a Dark Elf. If you were playing a High Elf, you can make 0 change to this build. Nothing will change. If you're playing a Breton, you can squeeze some more spell damage in, which means you can either drop Seducer for an offensive set or drop the Atronach Mundus for the Apprentice. If you're running Argonian, I honestly don't know. Their sustain is really weird with the way they interact with potions. That one you're gonna have to play around with. But worst case scenario, start with the Apprentice, find out it's not enough, and go to the Atro. Besides that, Khajiit would be the other race. I believe that could do this pretty well. And Khajiits, again, that's gonna be some trial and error. I don't personally play Khajiit all that much. I know they have some recovery, but I don't know if it's enough to make up for the lost Atronach Mundus. Anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed. I am sorry for this video being late. There will be a second video coming out this Thursday to make up for it. There'll be 2 videos this week. Things just, it honestly just slipped my mind until it was too late to record every night. So, unfortunately, this video is a couple days late. And again, I'm so sorry for that. Next video coming out Thursday will be the Magblade PvP build. And if I'm going to be honest, that's probably the Magblade will be the last PvP build coming out for a little bit. I'll probably wait till Greymore before I start putting out more PvP builds. In that absence, I'm likely going to start I want to do a tank series build, starting with my Warden and my Sorcerer tanks again. I want to update their videos. And then we'll see where it goes. We'll see where the channel goes from there. But anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you had a good time. I will catch you on the next one. Stay safe out there. These times are a little weird right now. Things are definitely getting scary out there. So stay safe, everyone. Anyways, I'll catch you on the next one. And yeah, have a good one. Have a good week, guys. Still terrible at outros, by the way.